fire, my one part of desire. I'll chain my gizmac. Can I?
Hey everybody, welcome to Heart of the Podcast with MSTC. I'm Mel.
George, you're supposed to
I'm
be
George.
next.
Good, great, excellent.
I'm Joseph.
You fucked it up. I'm Nick.
I'm not Joseph. I'm George.
Great, excellent. So we have a very special guest on today. For those who are keen in the Yugi Tubi community, he's a member of one of the more prominent YouTube channels, and we wanted to introduce him. We have Susu from Head to Head Battles on. Susu, did you want to talk a little bit about yourself?
Wait,
what's
before you get on, Susie, we need to do this the right way. This is the Gren Maju GAWD.
Oh,
All right,
God, yeah.
you need to put a little bit more like excitement in your
respect.
voice. Here.
Put some respect on that, bruh.
Put a pep on the walk.
Let's start this over again. All right, guys, listen. We have the Gren Maju GAWD. Susu, take it away.
What's up, guys? My name is Susu. I'm one half of the Head to Head Battles channel. Basically, my whole identity surrounds itself by kind of one simple thing, right? Beat the best players in the world casually. And I've been doing that for the past 3 years. Giving these casual players someone to look up to. You know what I'm saying? Literally and figuratively.
Preach.
I love it. I love that.
Oh, we appreciate that. So every time we have a guest on, we always start with this question, and you might have talked about it a bit. Some people might know what it is, but we always want to say this. So your favorite card and your favorite memory of Yu-Gi-Oh.
My favorite card. That's a good one. If we're going by artwork, just based on artwork alone, Chaos Goddess, the Synchro would be my favorite
Ooh.
card.
That is a very good choice. That's a nice
Yeah.
card.
If we're like nostalgia baiting, it would definitely have to be Dark Magician, and that ties in with my first and most fondest memory, which is ripping open that Dark Magician. Well, the starter deck Yugi, the very first one.
Oh man.
And
like in
and
the
just-
tin?
no, like
the
sorry,
deck box.
sorry.
like
deck
the
Yugi.
first ever release of Yu-Gi-Oh cards in the States.
Oh, damn. My mom wouldn't buy those for me. She'd be like, no, we don't need that. And I'd be like,
Yeah. No, like that's why, because growing up around that time, which was around like 2002, like I was basically homeless. So, my mom, like, she saved up a bunch of money, like over a couple months, and I was able to go out and get it and open it and just kind of like play by myself, because back then, I mean, you think like trading card games is a niche now? It was like
Right.
non-existent as a community back then.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yep.
No, you're
We
right.
got
I mean,
Yu-Gi-Oh.
I there was like one card store where I grew up, and it was like really tiny, and it was way out of the way, and I don't think there was a competitive scene to speak of. That's kind of more of a recent thing, to be honest with you. Like that, the hyper
Yeah.
interest in TCG is pretty recent.
Yeah.
Yeah, kudos to you, Nick. I had 0. It was Toys R Us or that's it.
Yeah, it was like this one gentleman who owned a card store. Now, in retrospect at the time, because I was like 6, I thought he was the coolest man around. He had one of those machines where you put the coins in and you get a card. And I really wanted, like, he had a Tri-Horn Dragon, and I was like, oh my God, I want it so bad. And in retrospect, I realize now he was a pretty young guy. I mean, he had to be maybe in his late 20s. And the card shop is unfortunately gone now. It did close down pretty quick, actually. But yeah, I used to beg my mom to go in there on the way back home from school, and she would usually say no. She'd be like, I don't want to spend money on this expensive cardboard.
Did you play? Did you play while you were in school? I feel like that's where most people usually start.
So no. So basically, me growing up, at the time, because we were homeless, we were living at a church retreat center up in upstate New York. So we were living there rent free, but we had to kind of like lay the land. It was like 200 acres of land, and we had to kind of like take care of it. So me, my mom, and my dad. So like that's how I grew up. So it was kind of like one of my treasures. So like I rarely took it out. And in upstate New York, back in
Mhm.
2000, early 2000s,
Yeah.
Mhm.
there weren't many like Asian people, let alone
Nope.
Korean people in upstate New York. So,
Mm.
I was one of one Asian
Yep.
person there, and I remember there was one black kid who was my friend, and because he was like the only one of one
Mhm.
black kid there, so but he was more into like chess and comics,
Mhm.
so didn't really have a chance to play Yu-Gi-Oh, and then because of that, kind of phased out of my life until recently.
I feel like Yu-Gi-Oh is kind of a mixture of chess and comic.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Yeah.
Susu, if you don't mind my asking, where in because I'm from upstate New York,
Yeah.
and where at?
So it was a church retreat center in Rosendale, Kingston.
Nice.
Yo,
Okay.
oh my God,
Yeah.
I'm very familiar with that area. Very familiar with that area, actually. Interesting.
Yeah.
But you said that that kind of like because you didn't have anybody to play with you. I mean, you clearly treasured this, this structure deck. And you didn't have anybody to play with, so it's kind of hard to like keep or like stay interested or keep engaged with something where you don't have anybody to play with. Like, luckily for me, I had a younger brother that, he wasn't super into it, but I kind of like forced him to play with me to like until I got better.
Yeah.
And you said that it wasn't until recently that you got back into the game. But what drew you back? Was it like the nostalgia factor, or what was it exactly? Do you remember?
Yeah, so essentially, long story short, I was dating this girl for about 10 years, and I broke up with her. The lease on my apartment ended that day. I got fired from one of my jobs on the day I quit my other job. So I had no job, no girl, no apartment, right? So I was like, damn. I was like, what can I do right now? So I called my mom, and my mom was like, you know what? Fuck that bitch, come home. I was like, oh God, yes. Um, and then I was like, all right, so I literally have nothing. Like, whatever made me a man, right? Like, whatever, like, as men, right? We have this like perception, like, yeah, I need a good job, I need a hot girl, whatever it may be. I had none of that, so I was like, damn. I was so I was like, all right, let me go to the gym. So I went to the gym and I came home and I I was like just rustling through my stuff and there was like one Yu-Gi-Oh. It was like a singular Yu-Gi-Oh card.
Mhm.
Just
This is an
one card.
anime moment. This is an anime moment you had.
Yeah. It was like at the bottom of one of my drawers, and I picked it up, and I was like, "Damn!" Like, you have like that wave of nostalgia that hits you. You're like, you think
Mhm.
back to your old self and how you weren't worried about all this other shit, but you
Simple
were just
times.
worried about, you know, summoning Dark Magician.
Yeah.
And
That's right.
It's
I was
true.
like, "Damn, I really want to summon Dark Magician today." And at the time, that was like right around where I was talking to Jen, and I was like, "Hey, do you know Yu-Gi-Oh?" And
Yeah, yeah.
she was like, "Damn, yeah, I'm a huge Blue Eyes fan." And I said, "Word?" I said, "Oh, word."
Nice.
So I was
That's
like,
awesome.
yeah. I was like, yeah. So I went on eBay and they're selling Yu-Gi-Oh cards on eBay, right?
Mhm.
Mhm.
So I was like, Jen, like, what if we like bought a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh cards off of eBay and then we just played? And then she was like, yeah, I'm so down for that. So we bought Yu-Gi-Oh cards, like we built decks, and then we just played for like 5 hours straight.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then after that, I was like, man, I really want to like learn the game, like understand what the game is like today. And then
Mhm.
I was like, why don't we record that journey? And
Mhm.
Mm,
like that's basically how the channel started, yeah.
So
that's
I guess
amazing.
I have just for clarification around, if you don't mind sharing, around what year was this ish? Because for context, we as a group only kind of started really getting into Yu-Gi-Oh again around what was it? Was it 2019, sort of, right? Around
18,
there?
During the
2019, yeah.
pandemic, yeah.
No, it
Yes.
was slightly before that. But go ahead. I'm curious what year it
Yeah.
was.
So it was around September 2019
Mhm.
is like about when we were playing the game at home, like with anime rules and normal summoning, 4-star monsters because we didn't know anything else. Like we were just
Right.
like, what are these white and black cards? Like what the hell? So like right at the tail end of Eternal format was when we started kind of taking a deeper dive into the game. But you know, I probably the level of skill that I'm at currently. I didn't reach that until maybe like a full year after I started. But again, like because this is like
Yeah.
our job,
Mhm.
I can, expend the hours to learn quickly
Yeah.
Right.
and, just being friends with worlds winners, nationals winners, YCS champions, like just being friends with them allows me to play with them and, learn very quickly.
Cool.
Fair enough.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. We started by basically roughly around the same time. Like
Mhm.
I remember when the first event we went to where we were feeling bold. I remember basically my memory is I was like I just every match is against this Sky Striker deck. What is happening? And I was just like, on its surface as a pretty new player at the time, I was kind of like, I feel like it's not that strong because it just ends on one Link monster and a bunch of back row, and I was just getting my ass beat over and over and over again. And at the end, I was like, what? Like I just like don't understand. And then thousands of dollars later, here we are. For the record, by the way, we have a channel that says no one likes Sky Strikers, and that is not correct. There are two big Sky Striker fans here. I know that you play Striker a little because I see you play it sometimes. So
Yeah.
don't believe the chat name. It's not true.
I'm sickened.
I hate Sky Strikers.
Yeah, I'm neutral, so it's a very fine balance.
Good.
Susu, thinking about, you mentioned sort of the channel starting. From a content creator perspective, we just have a couple of questions because, like, obviously we're not like we're not streamers. We're not huge into the
Yeah.
streaming things like that. So, what's it like to stream to a large audience? Like, when did you kind of know, like, oh, this is what I want to do. This is something I want to prioritize.
I think I don't know. So, I mean, okay. So, how old are you guys? Like, I'm 31 now. So, just are you guys
Uh,
somewhere near my age?
32. Yeah.
I'm 30.
Okay.
Yeah, 33.
Joseph's like 16, so we ignore him.
Yeah. Yeah. So, like our generation, we're in this like weird gap, right? Like, we're not like those like dumbass TikTokers, right? Like,
Nope.
but at the same time, we're also like not the people who started the whole streaming and YouTube thing, right? Like
Right.
I'm talking people who had channels since the inception of Twitch and YouTube, which was around
Yeah.
2008 to 2012. That's when like people were doing it just for fun. And then after 2012, Google or YouTube and Twitch, they were like, yo, what if we paid you? And then that's when like we had that huge boom in 2012 all the way up to like where we are now. So if you think about it that way, um everyone's like, oh yeah, YouTube and Twitch, it's so saturated, right? Like, oh, it's so saturated, don't do it, like you won't succeed. And I'm like, man, if you really think about it, like if you really kind of step back and look at it from outside the box, like YouTube, Twitch are technically still in its infancy stage.
Yeah.
And I say that because if you look at YouTube right now, like the meta is ever changing, which means like, a- being a nurse. So like if on paper I'm a registered nurse in the state of New Jersey, right? So when you're like from the moment you're born until 3 years old, like you go through the most changes in your early life. And you can see that with YouTube at least. Like YouTube is still in this like infancy stage. Twitch not so much, but like YouTube for sure. So, when we got into YouTube and Twitch, I had to make sure like, okay, I'm giving up $120,000 a year. Like, do I really want to drop my nursing, drop my personal training and, pursue this full time? So, like most things, it's a proof of concept and you have
Right.
to kind of, how do I say it? Like learn by trial and error.
Yeah.
So it's not that I started the channel thinking like, I'm gonna make $1 million this year. Like that's
Right.
just extremely unrealistic. I was like, I told Jen and Jojo, who was with us at the time, I was like, yeah, we're
Yep.
probably not gonna make any money for like a year. right?
Yeah.
And like that was the mindset we came in with. Like, I don't know. I think a lot of content creators who have never had a real job have this like insane misconception that like they're obligated views and viewers, and that's
Mhm.
why they quit. Like they'll okay, like I'm not throwing any shade here, right? But like people who win a YCS and they're like, yeah, shit, I'm gonna make a YouTube channel and be famous.
Mm.
Right.
And I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
like, you know what I mean? Like how many of those have like how many of those channels are still like a consistent channel? Like literally one, and that's Pack.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a lot of effort, you know. It's kind of true almost for any vocation. Like I guess the only thing I can compare it to is I'm a school teacher down here in the city.
Okay.
And I would say if I'm being honest, you're not good at being a teacher until like your fourth year. The
Oh,
first year,
fourth.
yeah, like up everything before that is you're just basically kind of trash. And but you're learning, right? Like you got to learn. And now I'm all right, you know, but yeah, that's very
And
realistic, you know.
Yeah.
I feel like the biggest thing about you guys in specific is that your channel is very focused around you guys having fun around the game. Not
Yeah.
yeah, like you are informative, but I feel like your main focus is just having fun. And for me, when I started playing again, like 2019, around during the pandemic, I was looking to play again, and I had also just moved to New York City myself, so I didn't have any friends. So I was just looking for something to watch, something to keep me entertained, something to get me that taste of playing with friends, and
Yeah.
that's where your channel came in, and I was really infatuated with like everything you guys were doing. It was just, it was fun, like genuine fun.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm.
Yeah,
yeah.
in particular, your channel, your local series, especially the first couple episodes, were really relatable because
Mhm.
Yeah.
we were just starting going to locals, and we had a lot of the same fears. Like we had never played Orcust before. I had never seen Colossus before, and
Oh
I was
God.
like, I appreciated watching yours, and the first regional you went to, we actually went to as well, and had a very similar experience where it was just like, bro, we got blown out by these things. We just were not ready, and we also didn't sleep. We made the mistake of driving up that day instead of staying over, and it was just
Oh,
like,
that was horrible. Oh my
yeah.
God.
I was like, your channel. I rewatch that series all the time because it's so the way that you kind of what Joseph and Nick were saying. It's just extremely relatable, and the way that you talk, and like you're clearly passionate, clearly enjoy it, and it's also like people can come in and see like this is what it's like to go into a locals for the first time, the
Yeah.
regional for the
Yeah.
first time.
Yeah. It's true. I mean, the part of what I like about watching your stream so much is so I mean, I appreciate watching people who are more, you know, like very strictly like I'm ultra competitive. That's what the stream is about.
Right.
I mean, I
Right.
appreciate that, of course. But
Yeah.
sometimes like it's fun to just watch someone who's like, look, I'm gonna have a lot of fun. It's the interaction with the audience is also really great, you know. And I'm
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
I'm gonna punch this guy in the face for 16,000 damage, and I'm like, yeah, that's great. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I mean, because I actually had this conversation with Nim Nim like
Mhm.
literally like this a couple days ago. I was like, do you know why Yu-Gi-Oh YouTubers don't grow? And I was like, because they're so focused on Yu-Gi-Oh,
Mhm.
Yeah.
which there's nothing wrong about that, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
But like, you're not like Yu-Gi-Tuber is not a thing, right? It's
Right.
something that Yu-Gi-Oh players labeled Yu-Gi-Oh centric content creators,
Right.
and then it kind of stuck. And I think a lot of people who come into this space are like, yeah, I want to be a Yu-Gi tuber, right? I want to be a Yu-Gi tuber. I'm like, man, that's really dumb, right? Like
Very
you're not a
niche.
yeah, like Yu-Gi tubers is not a thing. Like you are a YouTuber. If you are posting videos on YouTube, you're a YouTuber. And if you would
Mhm.
and if you're gonna focus on the Yu-Gi-Oh aspect more than the YouTube aspect, I guarantee you get butthurt because of your view count and you
Mm.
quit. I guarantee you. And like if I spend a lot of time looking at analytics, not only for our own channel, but for other channels, right? So
Mhm.
in the first year of YouTube, we got like what 1,000 subs,
Right.
Mhm.
right? Which is like normal. And I was like, maybe we're doing something wrong. I feel like the quality of our videos, again, no shade, are so much better than everybody else's
Mhm.
that okay, like we're doing something wrong. So like year 2, our focus was on okay, let's focus on like YouTube. Like forget Yu-Gi-Oh. Let's focus on YouTube. And then we went from, 1,000 subs to 10,000 subs, right? And then
Mhm.
year 3, I was like, okay, let's focus on YouTube because we're in a niche that's like not very big whatsoever. So I was like,
Mhm.
Sure.
okay, let's focus on bringing our content to a wider audience.
Mhm.
And then, we grew from 10,000 to 50,000. And then, within the last 3 months, we went from 10,000 to 30,000. And then within the last 3 months, we went from 30,000 to 90,000,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
right? Within 3 months. So it took us, I think, 3 years to get our first million views. 3 years it took. And now we get like 500,000 views a day.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, that's really good advice,
Yeah.
honestly. And it's true because I'm thinking my own personal experience. I'm thinking like, what Yu-Gi-Oh focused YouTubers do I watch a lot? And when I think about it, it's ones kind of like you're saying. It's ones that have content that's like tangentially related to Yu-Gi-Oh, but also just kind of
Yes.
like YouTube stuff. Like I'm gonna be honest, I watch Farfa a lot, and it's because his Yu-Gi-Oh videos are they're nice, and I like him. But it's also because he's really funny and he makes
Yeah.
videos that are like tangentially related to Yu-Gi-Oh, and he makes me laugh. And
Correct. Correct.
so yeah, I mean, I think that's a great point, honestly.
Yeah, you bring up a good point in focusing on YouTube and not YugiTube. And it's crazy that you say it because I guess I never really thought of it that way.
Yeah.
I was recently watching like some of like your like the newer stuff like where you and Jen are opening up booster
Packs at
packs
the
and it's
mall.
kind of deciding yeah, and that was hilarious. Like it was one of those things where I kind of thought like it was gonna catch me only for like the first couple of minutes while I was getting ready, and then
Yeah.
I found myself taking a seat and watching the entire thing, and I was like, yo, this is gold, this is fucking hilarious. You want to know what's gonna happen next. And while it was like Yu-Gi-Oh related, I think it's more like loosely Yu-Gi-Oh related than
Correct.
kind of
Correct.
just like a kind of a day-to-day thing. So I think that's amazing. I think it's a great mindset to have. And I think, like you said, like more YouTubers should focus on being YouTubers first, and then YouTubers second.
Correct. Absolutely.
Uh, Thinking about doing sort of the YouTubing, it's really interesting that you talk about it that way. I'm
Yeah.
curious what helps you because you have such a wide variety of, even if it's Yu-Gi-Oh content, it's a wide variety of just content in general related to it. What helps you
Yeah.
get the creative juices flowing? Because you have so many ideas that kind of like George was saying, like that's brilliant. Like how have I not seen this before, kind of thing. Like I'm thinking about the video you just did, the short you just did recently with Nim Nim, where it was like uh the one chip challenge for just opening a pack. I was like,
Oh yeah,
this
yeah.
is brilliant.
Yeah, that was good.
It's a minute and a half, 2 minutes, and it's like really easy to watch. What helps you get those creative juices flowing?
Yeah. For me, like I'll be very honest. Like I do not watch any Yu-Gi-Oh videos on YouTube, like
Mhm.
at all. Like literally none. Because like to me, again, no shade to anyone, but like content where I'm sitting in front of my desk, turning a camera on for me is so boring. So like if you've noticed when we had a huge boom when Master Duels first came out, right?
Yep. Yep.
And I made a lot of content at my desk because obviously that's how most gaming YouTube
Mm-hmm.
videos are done. And I was like, man, I fucking hate doing this, man. Like this shit is so fucking boring, man.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm sitting there. I'm like when the camera turns on, you forget English, like for some reason. Like I'm sitting there. I do the intro 50 times now. I'm fucking pissed, bro. I'm like literally screaming. I'm like, fuck, dude. I'm like
Mhm.
literally screaming because like for those sit down videos, I do it all in one take. Like I I do it all in one take, so it's easier for me to edit.
Mhm.
So if I'm like 9 minutes into a 10-minute video and I fuck up something, I start all over again.
Oh shit.
Oh man,
Wow.
that
Man,
that's
Yeah,
that's
that's
harsh.
yeah, that's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah. So like like the videos where I'm sitting on my desk, like our match duel videos have like 130,000 views. Like those, like if you look at our popular videos, um, yeah, that's all in one take. like no breaks, like nothing. But mind you, that
Damn.
was like the 50th take.
Wow.
As opposed to now where we're shifting our content to more um like our latest video where she challenged me to build the best Yu-Gi-Oh binder in 30 minutes or we have to give it away.
Oh, I love that one. You filmed that at GC, right?
Yeah, GC, exactly. Yeah.
That's our local.
Yeah, so that video, it was super simple because I was like, okay, like we were able to like script out the intro because that's all you need, right? You just script out the intro, say what you need to say or like what you want to get across in the first like 30 seconds of the video because that's that's important. And then the rest of the video was just us opening packs. Like we don't have to worry about it. There's nothing to say. Like, it's not like we're fabricating reactions.
Right.
Like we're having like genuine reactions. Like what you see on the camera is what you get when you see us in real life. Like I don't know if I've met any of you guys in real life, but the people that have, like, they're like, yeah, they're just like them. Like there's nothing
Yeah.
different about them.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's the reason why people enjoy watching those kind of videos of you guys, because it comes off as genuine. Your reaction is genuine. It's not like, it doesn't sound robotic in any way. It's like like I feel like when as you were opening packs, I'm like, yo, come on, get that starlight, get that starlight. And that's, I felt it, bro. And yeah, man, I think it shows on screen. It shows when you're recording, and again, I think that's like another reason why like people like they'll tune into your channel just to watch.
Yeah.
Definitely. 100%.
I also appreciate your just even when you're recording yourself like dueling, I always watch you. Like I'll see the other player doing their things, but I'll just watch you on your turn and you can see like you're on camera sometimes and you'll just like look at the camera and give one of your like Susu like finger points and things like that. And it's really fun to watch you. And again, it's like a genuine like this is the kind of player you want to play against because super friendly, has no problem talking to you about the stuff, like what's going on, and just like is very engaging. And I feel like that's super unique because you'll see a couple like I've seen a couple other videos where it's like very monotone, very like not really emotional, particularly around deck profiles. And I imagine part of it's like nervousness and things like that from people, but when I see a deck profile from you, I like click it because I'm like, I'm gonna get some kind of like really cool reaction or some kind of attack and an explanation of it. Because I think we've talked about this before, but deck profiles that just say what the cards are and say like, you see this, you win. You don't have to play anything else. It's like you're not helping anybody.
Yeah,
like
we
it's
make
always
fun of that
annoying.
all the time. We make fun of that all the time.
For us.
Yeah, we're like, you see 3 of this, you win, and I'm just like, all right, well, that's cool, but you didn't really explain anything. You didn't like, no personality behind it. Yeah, it's actually funny you say that, Mel, because I remember when we were we play pretty seriously. We try to win. We're competitive, but like I have a really hard time controlling my facial expressions when I play. And I don't even really bother anymore. Like you. So I've played with these guys for a long time. So when I'm playing some of my decks, you can just kind of tell by my face what my opening hand is like. And but like I don't know. I think it's fun. Like it kind of like I like kind of entertain myself. You know what I mean? Because like I just like I'm not gonna be so stoic where I'm like, oh, I gotta like be stone. I mean, at a tournament I'm more serious. I'm very like stone faced. But when I'm just with the boys, especially when I play my pet deck, I'll draw a hand and you can just tell by my face whether or not I drew 3 out of my 3 bricks.
Actually, one way to tell if you drew, and I haven't told you this before, but the one way to know if you have a bad hand, and I've noticed it from you, is you don't shuffle your hand. You know how we usually like shuffle around our hand?
Oh, that's
you
interesting.
just put it down, and then immediately, and that's how I know you either don't have hand traps, or like I'm just like fully confident.
He's like rubbing his hand together. He's like, yeah, I'm about to go in.
No, that's fair. Honestly, that's fair. When I'm at like a tournament though, I never put my hand down. But yeah, that's an interesting observation. Everybody's got little tells. I love that. Yeah.
Speaking of tournaments, oh, go ahead, George. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say, so it sounds like you're like very passionate about not just your YouTube channel, but also like creating content and Yu-Gi-Oh itself, right? I mean, you can tell. And I think it's been a little bit over a year that Konami issued a ban, which was I think a shock to everybody.
Yeah.
How did that make you feel?
Well, I mentioned this a lot, but I mean, are so like okay, so long answer short.
Mhm.
I honestly don't give a fuck about the ban, and the reason is that when I got banned, what I had 100 viewers on Twitch,
Mhm.
10,000 subscribers on YouTube. We're like more than double that on Twitch now, and almost 10 times where I was when I was like playing like hyper competitively, right? Like
Mhm.
against some of the best players in the world. Because I
Mhm.
mean, again, like I have access to that. So the ban caught me by surprise because of the circumstances surrounding the ban.
Mhm.
Because if you look at the like the suspended players list, it states that like I got banned for cheating,
Mhm.
Which is ridiculous.
right? Which
Yeah.
or sorry, it was unsporting conduct severe. So like if you look at the KDE policies, that's like you know you got to do some serious
Right.
stuff to get that, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But the fact that like I was at home in my own room and then I got banned for something which the policies like there were no updated policies about remote dueling at that
Right.
time.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
And the fact that you know like somebody was able to say that, hey, you're drunk in your house, and I'm like, no.
Yeah.
And he was like, yes you are, and then he bans me, right? So it's like and I said this before, but it's like imagine like if like a cop pulls you over, right?
Mhm.
And then you go, officer, why did you pull me over, right? He goes, I don't know. And then you go, okay. But he's like, but I'm gonna arrest you anyways.
Mm.
Like you're like, no.
Sounds like Konami.
Yeah.
So I mean, again, like, the whole situation revolving the ban, like, honestly, I don't even think about it because
Mhm.
again, I'm not. We're not a Yu-Gi-Oh. We're not a Yu-Gi tuber. I'm a YouTuber.
Right.
Like, I don't care if like I can't play or if I can't go to locals, right? Because like
Mhm.
Jen can go to locals or you know, like a lot
Right,
of our
right. I think you said
content.
a lot of your friends are still, a lot of your high, I guess, top
Friends.
player friends are, they'll come over, they'll play. It's not a big deal for
Right,
you.
right, right. Like it didn't affect the channel at all. Like literally not at all. Like if anything, you could maybe say it helped a little bit just because everyone was talking about it.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, that died down after a week. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, like again, like Jen and I were just hyper focused on YouTube,
Mhm.
and I think a lot of people, even in the content creating space for Yu-Gi-Oh YouTube, maybe don't understand that to the full extent.
Mhm.
Like because I don't know, you'll never catch me saying like, "Oh, I'm a Yu YouTuber." Like my dick goes inside my body when I hear that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it doesn't have to travel much, but it still does. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
that's great.
I mean, but like to me, it feels bad that Konami's so uh arbitrary about it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Well,
Like that
they're
sucks.
a private company. You can't do anything about that, right? It's not like
Right.
a public company where
Yeah.
I can go on, BBB and leave them a bad review.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. They're a private company. They can do where the fuck they want, and people need to understand that.
Sure.
Was there
Yeah.
ever
It's
a
just.
point where, I guess, like after you got the ban, was there a point where you were like, I mean, I know, I like hindsight, it's like, right, I'm a YouTuber, not a Yu YouTuber, but was
Mhm.
was there ever a point where you were like, I'm gonna stray away from making Yu-Gi-Oh content on my YouTube channel, or was it like I'm focused on doing this? I kind of like set my goal to make my channel Yu-Gi-Oh based, or what was your thought process? Was there, I guess my question to sum it up is, was there
Yeah.
ever a point where you thought like, I'm gonna take this in a different direction, or I'm just gonna quit altogether?
So no. So to answer that question, I never thought I wanted to move away from Yu-Gi-Oh stuff. I think the head-to-head battles channel will always revolve around, Yu-Gi-Oh with a
Mhm.
little bit of Pokemon and Magic sprinkled in maybe a little bit later.
Mm.
But again, because our channel isn't revolved around Yu-Gi-Oh. It's revolved around Jen and I. And I think a lot of people are only now starting to realize that because, we're we're the only channel that does this. So what I mean by that is we're the only channel where people come to watch the channel for Jen and I, right? Like no one goes, "Oh shit, today I got to go watch a deck profile by Susu, bro." Like no one does that, right? Like we have like 10-minute testing with MBT for that, right? And like, you know, I would be like, dude, don't watch my deck profile, watch Pack's deck profile, right? Or
Mhm.
Mhm.
something along those lines because again, like simply like I don't give a fuck about competitive content. All I know is that I know the game rewards you just for being a smarter player.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So again, I'm not saying like I'm smarter than everyone else, but the fact that like I don't have to go to a 9 to 5, take care of pets, other problems, and then go
Mhm.
to play Yu-Gi-Oh at night. I can just hyper focus privately on Yu-Gi-Oh
Right.
and then just keep my own blade sharpened so
Mhm.
that if Pat goes, yo, Susu, let's do a series together where we duel, right? I don't look like a
Mhm.
complete, like absolute troglodyte playing with one of the best players, right? So,
Right.
Right.
you know, I- I'm not, I, I wouldn't say I'm giving off the illusion that I'm hyper competitive, but our viewers know that I am very good at the game,
Mhm.
and I mean, as I should be, because this is my job, and you should be good at your job. Um, but our content right now is you're like, damn, I need a video to wind down. Like, I want to watch something where I can just sit there, like, I don't have to think, and I just want to watch, smile, giggle, react when they react, and that's like where our content is right now.
That's great. I
Mhm.
I did have I did have a question lined up for
Uh
what
huh.
did you learn anything valuable during the ban? But you kind of explained it. Like you were like competitive Yu-Gi-Oh is not the thing I want my channel to be known for, and your channel has exploded in popularity since then.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't realize like the competitive Yu-Gi-Oh player base is like 40,000 people at best. So
It's very small.
yeah,
Yeah.
so if you look at like Pack's videos and like his most competitive, I mean, he's a hyper competitive player who only uploads hyper competitive stuff.
Right.
So if you
He's
look at
got the
his
goo.
yeah, so if you look at his videos and you sort them by popular, um all like stuff that's not Match Tools content, his best videos will go from like 40,000 to about 60,000.
Mhm.
But again, like these are videos that are like really old and have amassed those type of views.
Mhm.
Right.
But if you look at the recently uploaded stuff, it's like 10,000 to 15,000 averaging currently.
Mhm.
Because when you're focused on competitive content, all these casual players who want to watch your videos have no fucking clue what you're talking about. Like if I go, yeah, I want to go into Vishuda and then link it off into Monk. I'm gonna try to get Shaman on the board so I can revive the Taye. They're like, what the fuck is a Taye? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Yep. It's
yeah,
true.
so I mean, after the ban, honestly, I focused more on YouTube because I think before the ban, I was like, yeah, I'm a YouTuber. After the ban, I was like, no, fuck that, I'm a YouTuber, and I think that was what needed. That was the catalyst to our content, like going from 7 to 10,000 views
Mhm.
to literally millions.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And you know what else is true? And I guess you can tell me, Susu, if you agree or disagree.
yeah,
I
yeah.
would have if I had to hazard a guess, Yu-Gi-Oh is how do we say, not the most approachable game. I
Not at
love
all.
it, but it's not approachable. So it's like you were saying, if you're trying to like really so like here's my Yu-Gi-Oh deck profile video, I'm going to do great detail. And like you're like it's hard to approach the game itself. And then if you're trying to describe a combo or how the cards interact, unless you are, one of those 40,000 people, most people their eyes are gonna glaze over and they're gonna be like, all right, I don't care
Yeah,
about any of this. So, I mean, you're right. So if you want to expand your audience, I imagine, right, you'd be like, this isn't how I'm gonna make videos. I mean, that's basically correct, right? Like,
exactly.
And then you have some nerds like us who kind of like to know about the rulings of Chimera when it gets flipped face down and what happens
Yeah.
then. But that's very small.
Yeah, I mean, like if you look at like our deck profile, so like I think when it comes to because like you guys are creating content, right? So you guys are content creators by s- self-proclaimed, right?
By definition,
Because
I say.
yeah, because for me, like when someone asks me like Susu, what like Susu, what do you do? Right? I'm like, oh, I'm like, I all I tell them is I upload videos on YouTube. Like I don't tell them I'm a YouTuber. I don't tell them like any of this other cringy ass shit simply because like when do you really become a YouTuber, right?
Right.
What's the threshold? Is it 1,000 subs? Is it 10,000 subs?
Mm-hmm.
But I think YouTube does a really good job of telling you when you're like, yeah, you're a YouTuber now. And I think the first milestone is 100,000 subscribers and you get
Mhm.
your 100,000 plaque, the silver
Yep.
play button. At that point, I can put that shit on the wall and be like, I have accomplished something that 99 point, I think it was 99.5% of people. So 0.5% of people have not accomplished this,
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
right? And at that point, I'm like, okay, I am a YouTuber now. And that was the thing that happened with me on Twitch, right? Like whenever someone with like, and I'm gonna sound, people can say whatever they want about me, but I'm gonna just say it how it is. Like if you have like 3 viewers and one of them is your mom, like I don't know if you want to be telling people that you're a Twitch streamer.
Right,
Mhm.
right.
And I say that because you the the better thing to say is like I live stream myself playing video games.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know. I mean it's just weird, right? It's like you can't be in medical school be like I'm a doctor.
Right.
Right.
Like
True.
that's ridiculous. You know,
Right.
so you know, for me, you guys are starting this podcast up. I think the name is great. I think the premise is awesome. But
Yeah.
but even, you guys need to take the like necessary steps to put yourself out there, whether it's, you guys having like a podcast setup,
Mm-hmm.
like,
Mhm.
so if you, like our late night TCG podcast
Yes.
stuff,
Yeah.
like no one has that level of finesse in the
Mhm.
podcast space, in the Yu-Gi-Oh space.
Right, right.
Right? I mean, again, you know, I have access to this stuff because I invested in cameras and microphones like way
Right.
early on, into the
Yeah.
channel. So, like my recommendation, I know this is like a little off topic, but my recommendation would be like, like just take the time, get together once a week, try filming something.
Mhm.
Doesn't have to be like super extravagant, but like make it the best you can.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think when you were starting out, when I was watching a lot of your channel in the beginning, particularly around the setup, you're like, invest in the equipment to make better videos. That's the number one thing that people sort of don't account for as this is going to make people want to watch your stuff, because your videos and your podcast were always extremely high quality, even if the content was short, or even if like you were saying, the earlier videos might not have been the best. It was
Yeah.
nice to look at, and it had like crisp audio and all that good stuff. And I think that's something that, like you were saying, people don't start out knowing, and it's one of the quick ways that you can get sort of in the community about like, this person's videos sound really nice.
Mm-hmm.
True. Very true.
Yeah.
Very, very true.
We have we want to have a new segment, and I want to give George a chance because this was his idea.
Yeah.
We want to run this, but we want to run you through sort of this gauntlet. George, you want to take over?
Yeah. So this is something we kind of just been messing around with, that I figured like you'd be a good first person to run this by. It's a little game I like to call add to hand or ban.
Okay.
Right, which pretty much I'm going to give you two options. First, and one of the two you can add to hand. The other one you're going to ban it forever, as if it never existed. All right.
Okay. Erase it from existence. All right.
All right. So first one, we got link summoning or XZ summoning.
Ban link summoning. It should have never existed.
Too
Ooh,
generic.
hot takes. Oh my god.
I mean, look, XE summoning is cool, right? Like, you slap cards on top of each other. Like, when XEs first came out, I think a lot of players were like, "Damn, this shit is crazy," right? Like, in the sense that like it's crazy fun. But then when link summoning came out, it was like, "Damn, this shit is crazy." Like, why does this exist?
Right.
That's fair. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough.
All right. Second one, we got ultimate rare or starlight rare.
Ooh, that's tough. Oh, shoot.
Because ulti used to be like the top cream of the crumb. Now it's starlight.
Well, I mean, theoretically, technically,
I don't
still
agree with what
is.
you just said, Joe. I think that starlights are so much uglier than
All right,
ultis.
I'll see myself out.
Sorry, I'm
It's
a
because he's 16, you know. It's just
Yeah,
it's all about the
right.
shiny shit. It's all about
I'm
the
a-
shiny shit.
yeah,
I'm a- I'm-
I'm a boomer. I like ulties. I'm a boomer.
He's like, "Where's the latest TikTok? Let me go watch it."
For the record,
Oh.
I'm 26.
Oh, okay. No.
Basically 16.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I would definitely keep ultis. I think ultis have more nostalgia fact. The one thing I don't like about ultis is they're like hella flimsy.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like I remember sleeving a Madolche Queen Tier Masu ulti and like I almost like bent it in half.
That's ridiculous.
And I was like,
Wow.
fuck me, dude.
Yeah.
You're
I
also
will,
insanely strong.
Yeah, I will say Starlights are it's a heftier piece of cardboard, to be honest.
Yeah,
'Cause- yeah.
that foiling though,
I'll be
some of
honest.
it peels off sometimes. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
My I have the worst luck in sealed product and me don't get along. Even though I buy sealed product because I'm a sealed product cuck. I never pull anything good ever, literally never.
It's true.
Sick.
I would
Sorry,
I would like I kind of want to be like, no, like George, you're my
No.
friend. You're fine. No, but it's true. He
Fuck
gets fucked every
Megaton.
time.
Every
Yeah.
time you bought cases of Megatons, and literally the only card I was looking for was Prosperity, right? And you'd think, hey, just buy them if that's the only card you need. No, I'm a cuck for sealed product. Of course, I'm gonna buy a case.
Yeah.
12 cases. So I'm sorry, 12 Megatons. Pull 0. I think everybody else pulled like 4 each, and I'm like, all right. So I guess I'm just gonna be the one that doesn't have Prosperity.
Yeah, just ask
Yeah.
one. Just ask each of your friends for one copy, and you'll be fine. You know.
That's right.
Yeah.
we got you.
We also
and-
we
Mhm.
I was gonna say we've also given him the option of you can pick the cases first or you can wait, and no matter what he does, it's always the worst.
Just
Well,
have someone
makes
else pick it out for you, Mike.
What makes it funny is that it's not the first. Like it happens every year. Even last year with Crossouts, we all got playsets except for him.
Literally any card that I want, I never get. But again, that's just my luck. All right,
Yeah.
this one this one is probably gonna be really hard for you, and I'm hoping you lean one way and not the other.
Okay.
So we got Gren Maju or Madolche.
Oof.
Mm.
Hmm.
I feel like which Madolche though, because that's
No,
more
just
generic.
like the whole
deck.
archetype, I think.
The whole
Yeah.
deck, like
The whole deck doesn't exist, man.
Whole
That's
deck-
rough. I mean,
Damn.
no. Then I would have to say just keep Madolches, man. I can't rid an entire archetype for one card that doesn't have a printing higher than super. I can't
What
do
I'm
that.
saying.
I can't do that. I can't do that, bro.
Yeah, that's a good point. Oh man.
all right, we got live streaming or YouTube videos.
YouTube, like hands down. I don't even think about that. Like, like sometimes, like I really dislike streaming because, like, if I'm like super busy or like I know I have something to do, or like I'm on a tight schedule that day and I have to stream because we stream on a set schedule,
hmm
and I'm like, if I didn't have to stream today, I would not be so like on edge for the day. So, because like YouTube videos, it's like yes, we're on a schedule to upload, but I can film them in advance, have them ready to go in advance.
hmm
If I know I'm going on vacation, I don't have to feel bad for not streaming because those uploads will go up even though I am not home.
hmm
So I think YouTube pays more. You get more views on YouTube. You have more freedom with YouTube. Um, and as long as like you're smart about sort of manipulating the algorithm for your channel, like you'll always be fine on YouTube. Like I don't care if your channel is dead. Like YouTube does not give a rat's ass if your channel's dead. All they care about is on a video per video basis, and that's all they care about.
hmm
Twitch, there is absolutely zero discoverability. Like if you have 3 viewers even in the match duel space, which is arguably extremely tiny, no one's gonna scroll down for 10 seconds and click on your stream. No one's gonna do that. I don't care. I don't care how how much of a good Samaritan you think you are. Like you're not gonna do that. You're gonna watch one of the top 3 guys, and if you're not one of the top 3 guys, you should probably either find a new strategy or make a YouTube channel.
It's kind of
Honestly,
surprising
yeah.
that even if you have 3 viewers, you're already like on top. there's so many people streaming to Cheerios.
Mhm,
They just have
mhm.
zeros all over.
It's yeah. I mean, I've always got the impression that Twitch would be, man, a time sink, more maintenance. I mean, yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Moving along. We got weightlifting or Yu-Gi-Oh.
Mm.
Ooh.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I can do both at the same time, literally.
One's gotta go though.
If one's got to go, it would probably be Yu-Gi-Oh, simply because, again, our channel's focused on me and Jen
Mhm.
and not really Yu-Gi-Oh.
Mhm.
So even if we lost Yu-Gi-Oh, like let's say like Konami was like, okay, you cannot show our products or even mention Yu-Gi-Oh in YouTube, right?
Right.
I'd be like, yeah, all right, that's cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Point taken.
yeah.
We got Pot of Prosperity or Pot of Desires.
I mean, yeah, prosperity can go, bro. I think being able to dig 11 cards on your first turn is nonsensical. Like I don't know. Most of the time, if you're playing prosperity, you're playing duality too, right? So now you're digging like 14 cards deep, and like that's like what 40% of your deck. Like that's ridiculous. Like that's basically being like, yeah, I want a mulligan right now. Like, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like,
Mhm.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just the Floowandereeze lifestyle. Absolutely.
exactly. It's like, damn, you know what would make my hand really good if I could add like Featherstorm to my hand. Let me
Yeah.
look 9 cards deep, bro.
Don't mind me. I'm just gonna grab this Featherstorm.
Yeah, true. It's true.
Ulti Gizmek or an Ultra Gren Maju printing.
Why can't it be ulti and ulti?
Because we know which one you're gonna pick.
Yeah, we
you
had
don't
to add a little spice.
you don't
I
get
mean,
it that good.
Probably an ultra Maju. I really love ultra effect cards. I think like, you know, you have to like physically move the card side to side to really get that effect.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, we just got CR Gizmek, so I'm okay
Yeah.
with not having the ulti Gizmek, bro. Yeah.
Agree with you on that one. Master Duel or Dueling Book.
Master Duel. I think dueling book content is like drier than my asshole.
I hate
Yeah,
Dueling
I
Book.
agree.
I fucking hate Dueling Book. I can't stand it. I hate the platform. And the only Dueling Book content I like is watching Coder yell at people because I like Coder. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, the thing about dueling book is like one, like half of those dudes fucking blow at the game but think they're Jesus, which is like
Yes.
mad annoying.
Mhm,
And yeah, I mean, I think like dueling book has like all like if you were to go into a crowd of people and they were like, give me like the Yu-Gi-Oh stereotypical player, right? I'd be like, just go to duelingbook.com. You'll be fine. You'll figure it out. You know what I'm saying?
You're not lying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's basically Susu. Are you aware of the Facebook group called Zodiac Duelist?
Yes.
It's like that, but on a website instead of a group.
Well, most of them play on dueling books, so.
Yeah. You know, point taken. It's like it's the same people.
crowd.
All right, yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
You see pictures of them on Facebook.
Yeah, exactly.
Got hand traps or board breakers.
I would keep board breakers. Hand traps can go.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Wow,
I mean,
yeah.
even when I'm playing Go First decks, I rarely run any hand traps. I'm probably good enough where I can force out every interaction you have and still do something.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting because just kind of like to touch on that. I remember when I came. So just kind of little background. Last time I played before Eternal format was Chaos Control, like GOAT format. What it's now.
Yes.
But at that point, it was the only thing I knew how to play. So it was so different for me. I remember Mel gave me a kaiju. I'm like, you just gave me this 2020 stick, you idiot. All right.
And then I was like, special summon Cyber Dragon?
What? And you know, I somebody hand trapped me. I was like, what the hell is this? What the hell is an Ash Blossom? And he was like, you can't add. I was like, how are you activating this? It's my turn. And it was just so confusing to me. And I think at that point I was just like, and it's also because it was one of the first hand traps I got out of the Salamangreat structure.
Yes.
I tend to lean towards hand traps. But anyway, last one we have is Pokemon or Magic.
Wow.
And not Magic cards, Magic the Gathering.
Yeah. Probably Pokemon could stay and Magic could go simply because I think Pokemon just it's easier for me to be like, "Hey, you want to start a hobby that people don't really like?" Like, would I hand them a deck of Pokemon cards or like Magic cards, right? Like, it's probably always going to be Pokemon
Yeah.
simply
Mhm.
because we have the game, we have the anime.
Mm-hmm.
They're literally one of the biggest companies in the world, and they just have more pull, right? Like,
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
even
yeah.
even looking at it from like a content creator standpoint, like you could start a Pokemon channel, blow up, and have 1 million subscribers in like a year, as opposed to Yu-Gi-Oh content creators who literally started in 2008 and only have 15,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
Mm.
Facts.
Yeah.
Also, for what it's worth, just as a sidebar, I don't know if you guys follow Magic at all. I only a little tangentially, but Magic is having a time right now. Its fans are pissed, dude. I don't know if you heard. I don't know if you heard about the 30th anniversary with Magic, but people are
Yeah.
pissed.
Rightfully
And
so.
yeah, the Pokemon trading card game has a lot of goodwill. Magic, people are mad as fuck.
Yeah, I mean the thing about Magic is the company started with, the players in mind. So
Right.
a lot of their contractual things. So like if you do a little bit of research, like a lot of their contracts are basically like if you guys are into like computers, it's basically like an open source code, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like they don't take money from people who, you know, use their content. And because of that, I think that's why they were like, you know what, like how far can we take it? So I think right now where what Magic is doing or like Wizards, what they're doing is like how far can we take this like what we're doing right now and have them be okay with it, right? Like it's like YouTube, right? Like they took away the like button,
Yeah.
Mhm.
people were fucking pissed, or the dislike button, and people were pissed. And now they're doing this whole thing where they're gonna retroactively go back to all your old videos and
Yeah.
demonetize them because of a new thing that they're doing right now, right? So it's like,
Fucking ridiculous.
yeah, now people like don't even remember the dislike button. They were like, oh, the YouTube had a dislike button. You know
Yeah.
what I'm
Right.
saying? Like, like that's what I'm almost certain that's what Magic is doing because they really fucked up bad with the 30th, but then they just released a really good product,
Mhm.
which objectively speaking is still a bad product, but it's better than the 30th, right?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Oh yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a low bar. You know what it is? Magic is similar to Yu-Gi-Oh, where you've got like this really big soulless corporate company that's in charge of it. And
Yeah.
I, I have so much beef with Konami a lot of the time about so many things, and it seems to be similar with Wizards is owned by Hasbro, so
Yeah.
it's like the same thing.
Yeah.
And I feel bad because at least I got a lot of problems sometimes with the way Yu-Gi-Oh cards are printed and produced, but man, Magic is it's bad lately, man. It's bad. Plus the thing Wizards did with D&D, they're just having a time over there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's rough.
They're having
It's
it
rough.
rough.
Yeah. Like at least for
Uh,
Konami, the only thing we complain about with them is like, man, I wish they wouldn't short print, and they're just like, yeah, you'll buy the cards, and I'm like, shut up. I hate you.
Exactly.
But then I
Yeah.
buy the cards. Like I really
Of course.
held off on buying. I held off on buying the Bastiles for a while, which weren't short printed, but they were too expensive anyway. And then finally, I was like, fine, fuck, take my money, I guess. But whatever.
Susu, how do you feel about set rotation?
The card or just the concept
The
of
concept. The concept.
right. Yeah, I think that's garbage. Like that's why like
I agree.
I don't like Pokemon and Magic, and I'm like, bro, like I have all these cards, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're telling me like once that set is gone, I have to play in Pokemon. It's like expanded format, right? And then
Mhm.
in Magic, it's
Commander.
Commander, right? So I'm like, yeah, like I can't like that. Like that's so whack, That's why
Yeah.
like I really like the approach of the Yu-Gi-Oh FNL list because I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Like I could throw some cards back in my binder, but still play with everything else, and it
Mm-hmm.
just requires me to swap out my strategy. So when people are like, oh yeah, like Yu-Gi-Oh makes you always play the newest best deck, and I'm like, have you played Pokemon or Magic? Because
Yeah.
like
You
like
have
you
to.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, like you have it good.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. I agree.
You know what the thing is with that though, with set rotation is I like Yu-Gi-Oh doesn't have set rotation, but what bothers me a little is that sometimes the way Konami designs cards, they have like set rotation in everything but name, where like they'll like you could play older decks to great success, but they'll produce these decks that are like just a little bit like so clearly better. Like this format coming up is gonna basically be like Kashtira and Tyr, and then I guess that's it. Maybe Sprite, I guess. I don't know. But it's like those decks are so clearly like a step above, like Sky Striker, like so obviously. And it's like frustrating just if they're going to do the FNL list, which I like, I think they just need to be a little bit more clever about the way they use it. But sometimes they just do it,
Well,
I don't know.
well, I mean, yeah, you have to understand, right? Like, Yu-Gi-Oh isn't made by a player, right? Like in the sense, and what I mean by that is this, right? Like they need to make money, or Yu-Gi-Oh will not survive. And I think that's something a lot of people don't understand is that like if a company does not make money, like because Yu-Gi-Oh was owned by Upper Deck, right, back in the day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Upper Deck after the lawsuit had no money. That's why they almost had to sell that to Konami.
Yep.
So if and luckily they bought it. So if no one bought Yu-Gi-Oh from Upper Deck after the lawsuit, like we would not have a game today.
Right.
And this is something that like every major business will do, right? It's like, okay, look, I have this iPhone, right? I have an iPhone 14. It's $600, right? But for $650, you can get an iPhone 14 Pro, but you get 64 gigs of memory that you can't expand. But if you spend $750, you can get an iPhone 14 Pro with 128 gigabytes. So it's kind of like a ladder system, right? It's not like it's a step ladder system in the sense that, like, okay, look, Tyr is the best deck. Like undeniably, that engine is wildly insane.
Right.
Yep.
But I could take a step down and play Flu and see just as much, if not more, success, depending on how many people are on that part of the step ladder. You know what I'm saying? So I know a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh players like to complain about the cards and like power creep and stuff. I mean, and rightfully so. Like we are the community. Like we're the voice of we are the voice of Yu-Gi-Oh. But at the end of the day, what people don't seem to really grasp is, or they just kind of like they just really don't want to see, is that if Konami doesn't make money, we don't have a game.
Right.
Right.
Yeah,
And
that's true.
I'll also note, set rotation doesn't stop power creep. Look at Pokemon. Look at Magic.
Right, right.
Those sets are power crept to hell.
Yeah.
Like
It's
look
it's
at
arguably worse.
base set Chansey cannot contend. You cannot contend with VMAX Arceus right now. Like it's not even close.
Yeah.
And it does you get like this occasional interesting thing in Yu-Gi-Oh where a really old card will suddenly become really cracked, and like that's kind of fun, I mean I think it's cool. I like it.
Yeah,
I
same.
like it.
Yeah. We're coming close to the end of our time. Susu, we want to give you a chance to give any plugs or promos for anything that's coming up that you want to shout out, anything like that. The floor is yours.
Yeah, no, I mean, generally, like when I do these plugs, I mean, the obvious ones are, we do have a YouTube channel, head-to-head battles. We do stream live on Twitch under the same thing. But again, I think growth comes from just people, and it doesn't come instantly. So if I were to just like leave any lasting any last words, it would just be like just learn to like enjoy the game, and then more and more people will come to enjoy it with you. And I think that's kind of like a channel statement that we have, and I think it worked because as throughout the podcast, you guys were like, yeah, I just enjoy playing the game as much as I enjoy watching you play the game. And I think as long as we can emulate that from one person to another person to another person, we could be the louder voice, like a more positive voice in the community than, the couple of bad apples who are just too loud for their own good.
Right.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Nice. Yeah.
I realized I wanted to do this earlier, but I wanted to shout out your mom, Susu, who appears to have like really had your back during hard times and helped you with that Yu-Gi-Oh, like getting you the first Dark Condition deck, being like, "Yo, come home, come hang out, like come back here." Just shout out to Susu's mom for really taking care of him.
That's really awesome, honestly.
Yeah. Cool. Well, this is Heart of the Podcast. Thank you all for listening to us. Hope you enjoyed this episode. We are MSTC. I'm Mel.
This is
I'm George.
Yeah, I'm Joseph.
I'm Nick.
We'll see you next time.
Peace.
See ya.
Oh, man.
Oh, did you figure out how to stop it this time?
No, keep it. If you didn't figure out how to stop it, keep this in like you did last time. Because I laughed really hard at the end.
OTK, I don't need to worry about Ash. I still have 10 banished cards. Then I'll chain Gizmek and Gren for game. OTKD shifter is enough for game. OTK, this is my only way of play. OTK, I never wanna hear you say Imperm in battle phase.